Let's welcome to the program the chair of the New Democratic Coalition and Congressman from Illinois, Brad Schneider. Congressman Schneider, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says that his state has returned almost $900 million to the federal government, something he said he couldn't do under President Joe Biden's term. So why didn't Democrats take it upon themselves to take back the money under Biden, you think?
I can't speak to what he's talking about. I know that, way back in 2013 when Ted Cruz shut down the government and I said I would return my pay to the Treasury, I just simply wrote a check to the Treasury. It's not that difficult. So I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Okay.
What I do know, and I'll touch on Musk and the other things going on, we all want a more efficient, more effective government. I don't think there's any debate about that. But how you go about doing it, being deliberative, looking at where we're spending money we shouldn't, doing things we shouldn't be doing ways in ways that can be better. That's what we need to focus on. And I think what you're seeing with Elon Musk is, I call it weight management by amputation, or trimming the trees in your yard by cutting them at the trunks rather than the branches.
Yeah, I think his point, though, overall broadly, is just that there is money out there to be cut in places, or in places that maybe it shouldn't be, that could be reallocated in different areas. But all of these protests that have been going on, multiple people have been arrested for the Tesla protests. Some have even turned violent, with one person arrested this weekend for firing a gun at a demonstration. My question is about this. Are activists, are they starting to undermine their argument by taking things a bit too far? If it turns violent, is that undermining what they're trying to do?
Well, let me be clear right out of the gate. Violence and vandalism has no place in political discourse and protest, in trying to get your point across. And I have two grown sons now, but when they were young, I had a rule: if you bite, you lose. I don't care who started the fight. If you bite, you lose. And if you're going to turn to political violence, you've lost the argument. We need to be making our case. Elon Musk wasn't elected. No one appointed him. He didn't go through Congress didn't appoint him. He didn't go through a vetting or a clearance. He hasn't received a security clearance. And yet he's running roughshod through our government. He's got personal information on taxpayers, including their IDs, their social security numbers, their payroll information. This should give us all concern. But there's no place for violence whatsoever.
Well, yeah, and to your point, there are two folks that are tapping into that real anger is Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. They're joining forces together, and they were attacking Trump this weekend at their Fight Oligarchy tour. Let's take a listen.
Are you all ready to take our country back? We're going to throw these bums out and fight for the nation we deserve.
We have a message for Mr. Trump. And that is, we will not allow you to move this country into an oligarchy.
Meanwhile, you have Senator Fetterman taking a dig at the pair, saying on X, we kept our government open, deal with it, talking about this government shutdown that was looming, and Schumer and 10 others, voted alongside Republicans. So, Congressman, you were just named the chair of the New Democratic Coalition.
Right.
Is your party fractured?
Well, our party is going through a significant self-evaluation and analysis. We lost the election in November. We lost the House, the Senate, and the White House. That's natural. And we're trying to determine what's the best way to move forward. Where we're united is we're united in thinking that we need to have an economy that creates opportunity, allows people not just to make ends meet, but to get ahead, right? Provide for themselves, their kids, and their future. We need to have healthy and safe communities. My colleague who spoke before me talked a little bit about immigration. We need comprehensive immigration reform, making sure that we continue to attract the best and the brightest, and that we have secure borders to keep out those who want to do harm. And we need to have a strong national security, national defense. These are the pillars of the platform that New Democrats stand on, what we're working towards. And we're bringing that message to our voters and to the nation as a whole.
Yeah, figuring out the platform, figuring out the messaging. We're hearing that former President Joe Biden is saying he's told some Democratic leaders that he wants to raise money for 2028. The Bidens want back in is what the headlines are saying yesterday. Meanwhile, we have former Democratic candidate Kamala Harris, who's widely considered to be a favorite among the party for 2028 with a new poll out yesterday. Is your party not learning from, this lost election? Is this the future of your party?
I think if you look more broadly, you see a lot of people in our party who are very talented. We've got great governors, including our own Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker. We've got great leaders in the House, including our Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries. And we're talking to folks, understanding what are their priorities, their concerns, and laying out a vision of how to address that. What we know our voters don't want, and I think the American people don't want, is an unelected oligarch like Elon Musk running amok, doing things that profit him, working to cut programs like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and taking those earnings or found revenues and increasing his own earnings. That doesn't help any of us. So we got to work together. We got to bring people together, try to unite this country around a shared vision of opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, security in our communities and at our borders. And I believe an America that leads the nation, as we did in the last century, creating the American century after World War II, we need to do in the 21st century.
Well, look, some political pundits would say that with Harris being picked as the Dems' 2028 favorite, that's a sign that the political party is floundering and trying to figure out where to go. Are you saying you think maybe it's more just a case of it's name recognition, perhaps, and that's why she's at the top right now, but won't be later?
Oh, for sure, it's name recognition. And I think you look at all the people, those I mentioned, others I didn't mention, there's a lot of great talent in the party, and I think the cream will rise to the top. I'm going to focus on 2026. My number one focus is making sure that we make Hakeem Jeffries Speaker in 2026, that we flip the House and we are able to have a resistance against what President Trump and Elon Musk are doing from the House of Representatives.
All right. Well, Congressman, you spoke out against the president's 25% tax on steel and aluminum, saying that they will hurt American consumers. What do you think the widespread impact is going to be from these tariffs? Of course, the argument from the Trump administration is this is going to somehow restore a golden age to the United States, and we're going to bring American manufacturing back home to our soil. What do you think the impact's going to be?
Right. You know, I think we always get in trouble when we talk in absolutes. It's all this way or all that way. Tariffs have a place. When used strategically, I think they can be an effective tool in opening up markets and taking action against those who are undermining our own markets here at home. But if they're used in a blanket approach, the way President Trump is using them, they end up hurting us more than doing anything else. And the aluminum and steel tariffs are a prime example of that. We need to make sure we're competing on a global market, opening up markets for our companies. I did a tariff tour this week through my district. I visited small companies. One of the big companies I visited, Novelis, is an aluminum company, and they talked about the impact it was already having on their business and the effect going long term. It's going to affect the cost of the cans we use for our beverages. It's going to affect the cost of cars that use aluminum, appliances that use aluminum, every single product, as well as aircraft and other technologies. So we got to be smart about it. If we are, we can make sure that we're protecting our companies, helping our companies grow, and opening up new markets so they continue to expand and prosper.
Is it a case, though, that it could be if you hold on long enough, it's some short-term pain for long-term gain? Will more will more American businesses who have decided to go offshore, bring their jobs back to the U.S. and spur the economy long-term? Can you see it happening?
Look, anything's possible, but I'll give you an example, not a precise example, but if you go back to 1980, when then President Carter boycotted Russia because of their invasion of Afghanistan. It wasn't just the Olympics. There were economic impacts to it, in particular with agriculture. And because of that, Illinois soy and corn growers are still facing consequences today because the impacts are long-term. And if people look to other places for products or other places to produce and work around the United States, it doesn't come immediately back to the United States, and we're in a hole for a very long time. So we need to be strategic about it. The other thing I'll say is trade policy should rest with the House of Representatives. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, the Trade Subcommittee. It is really up to the Congress, the people who are elected by our citizens every 2 years, who represent different interests across the country. We should make sure our voice is heard when we talk about trade as well.
Congressman Brad Schneider, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.